Christine Brown just detonated a truth bomb that's obliterating Cody Brown's reputation, and the fallout is absolutely spectacular. In her no-holds-barred interview promoting her tell-all book, the former third wife didn't just expose family secrets. She systematically dismantled 2 decades of carefully constructed lies with the precision of a master strategist. The numbers tell the story. 25 years of marriage, 4 wives reduced to 1, 18 children who barely speak to their father, a polygamous empire crumbling in real time on national television. And now Christine is revealing exactly how the man who positioned himself as America's favorite patriarch was actually orchestrating one of the most elaborate manipulation schemes in reality TV history. This interview is a masterpiece of strategic truth-telling. Christine Brown spent years being the accommodating wife, the peacekeeper, the woman who made everything fine even when her world was collapsing. But something shifted during those therapy sessions in Flagstaff. The woman who emerged from that process has the kind of clarity that cuts through decades of gaslighting like a laser through fog. What makes this revelation particularly devastating is the timing. Sister Wives viewers are currently watching season 19, witnessing the final implosion of the Brown family dynamic. But Christine's interview exposes the psychological warfare that was happening behind those cameras, the financial manipulation, the emotional abandonment, the systematic destruction of self-worth disguised as spiritual guidance. The internet has become a battlefield of recognition. Women across social media platforms are sharing stories that mirror Christine's experience. The manipulation tactics she describes aren't unique to polygamous marriages. They're the blueprint for control that plays out in relationships everywhere. Financial inequality masked as partnership, emotional manipulation packaged as love, systematic silencing disguised as family harmony. But here's what's sending shockwaves through the Sister Wives community. Christine isn't seeking revenge or trying to destroy Cody out of spite. She's simply stating facts with the kind of calm precision that makes denial impossible. When someone as measured and thoughtful as Christine starts connecting dots publicly, those dots form a picture that reveals the gap between Cody's public persona and his private behavior patterns. The man who built his brand on being the wise patriarch juggling multiple marriages with spiritual guidance now faces a truth reckoning that no amount of religious justification can counter. Christine's revelations aren't emotional outbursts or bitter accusations, they're documented patterns of behavior delivered with the authority of someone who lived through every manipulative moment. Meanwhile, Cody Brown finds himself in an impossible position. How do you defend against truth delivered without malice? How do you counter revelations that align perfectly with what viewers have been witnessing on screen? How do you maintain the illusion of spiritual leadership when your former wife is calmly explaining exactly how the manipulation machine operated? The Sister Wives franchise built its success on the premise of functional plural marriage, but Christine's interview reveals the foundation was always quicksand. The financial structures that created inequality, the emotional tactics that maintained control, the systematic patterns that kept women grateful for scraps of attention while calling it abundance. This isn't just celebrity drama, it's a case study in how manipulation operates in plain sight, how control disguises itself as care, and how truth eventually surfaces no matter how deeply it's buried. Christine Brown just handed us 6 specific moments that expose the real Cody Brown, and each revelation is more devastating than the last. The first devastating blow came when Christine revealed the cruelest truth of her 25-year marriage. Picture the scene. A woman sitting calmly in an interview chair, discussing her new book with the measured tone of someone who has finally processed decades of emotional damage. The interviewer asks about difficult moments in her marriage, and Christine drops a revelation that stops everything cold. 20 years into their marriage, not at the beginning, not during a rough patch, but 2 full decades after vows were exchanged, Cody Brown looked his third wife in the eye and delivered words that would haunt any woman. "I was never attracted to you." Not, "I'm not attracted to you anymore." Not, "Things have changed between us." But never. As in, not once during their entire relationship did he feel genuine physical attraction to the woman who bore his children and shared his bed. The mathematical cruelty of this revelation hits differently when you consider the timeline. Christine entered plural marriage at 22 years old, believing she was chosen specifically to be Cody's third wife. She spent her 20s, 30s, and 40s building a life around a man who apparently felt nothing but obligation toward her physical presence. Every intimate moment was performed duty. Every romantic gesture was calculated manipulation. But here's where Christine's truth-telling becomes particularly devastating for Cody's image. She doesn't just reveal what he said, she reveals when he said it and how casually he delivered this soul-crushing information. The timing exposes the calculated nature of his cruelty. This wasn't a heat-of-the-moment confession during a fight. This was deliberate psychological warfare, designed to ensure Christine understood her exact value in his hierarchy.
He said he wasn't attracted to me at the very beginning. And I'm like, then why did you propose?
The question hangs in the air like smoke from a devastating fire. Why indeed? Why propose to someone you find physically unappealing? Why engage in intimate relationships with someone who fails to generate genuine desire? Why bring children into the world with someone you consider fundamentally lacking in basic attractiveness? The answer reveals the transactional nature of Kody's approach to marriage. Christine wasn't chosen for love, desire, or genuine connection. She was selected for function, the willing third wife who would validate his patriarchal status, the compliant woman who would bear children and maintain households while asking for minimal emotional investment in return.
You should not be in a relationship with someone if there's not chemistry.
This simple statement contains multitudes of awakening. Christine is articulating what should be relationship basics, that genuine attraction forms the foundation of intimate partnerships. But for women raised in patriarchal religious systems, this concept can feel revolutionary. The idea that women deserve to be genuinely desired, not just tolerated or utilized, challenges the entire framework of duty-based marriage. What makes this revelation particularly damaging to Kody's reputation is how it reframes every public moment of their relationship, every anniversary celebration on sister wives, every family vacation where he displayed affection, every confessional interview where he discussed loving all his wives equally. The audience now understands those moments were performance art, not authentic emotion.
No, that was a terrible thing to hear.
It's terrible.
It was terrible.
The understated delivery of this response reveals Christine's growth. She's not screaming or sobbing about this devastating revelation. She's stating facts about emotional damage with the calm authority of someone who has processed trauma and emerged stronger. This measured approach makes her testimony more credible and Kody's behavior more inexcusable. But the real destruction to Kody's image comes in what this revelation implies about his character. A man who marries women he doesn't find attractive isn't just emotionally unavailable. He's actively deceptive. He's building intimate relationships on foundations of lies, creating families, while withholding the basic human need for genuine desire and attraction. The patriarchal system depends on women accepting scraps of attention while calling it abundance. Christine's calm articulation of this basic truth, that she deserved to be genuinely wanted, exposes the entire framework as fundamentally fraudulent. The second devastating revelation exposed how Kody's control tactics operated in plain sight for decades, invisible even to the woman experiencing them. Christine's awakening to manipulation patterns reveals a masterclass in psychological control that would make relationship experts take notes. The truly chilling aspect isn't just that manipulation happened, it's how sophisticated the system was and how completely it flew under Christine's own radar. For years, Christine lived inside a manipulation framework so subtle and pervasive that she couldn't recognize it even while it was happening to her. This wasn't obvious abuse with screaming and dramatic confrontations. This was precision emotional engineering designed to maintain control while keeping the victim grateful for the privilege of being controlled. The revelation becomes even more disturbing when Christine explains how she finally recognized the patterns, not through self-reflection or therapy breakthroughs, but by watching herself being manipulated on television. Picture the psychological impact of sitting in your living room, watching episodes of your own life, and suddenly recognizing manipulation tactics that were invisible when you were living through them.
I didn't really realize it was really manipulation.
This confession reveals the insidious nature of expert manipulation. When control tactics are applied skillfully over time, they become the normal rhythm of relationship interaction. The victim adapts to increasingly unreasonable expectations, while losing the ability to recognize that adaptation as survival rather than love. But Christine's awakening process exposes something even more sinister about Kody's methods. The manipulation wasn't random or impulsive, it was systematic and calculated. A man who can manipulate so effectively that his victim doesn't recognize the manipulation until she sees it replayed on television has spent considerable time perfecting those techniques. The Sister Wives audience becomes complicit witnesses to this revelation. For years, viewers watched Kody's interactions with his wives, and many sensed something was off about the power dynamics, but seeing Christine's recognition process play out makes the audience realize they were watching emotional abuse in real time, packaged as spiritual family leadership.
I think this is a manipulation here, but I didn't really put it down like that. I didn't really understand it was manipulation.
The hesitation in her voice reveals the difficulty of accepting this truth. Even when Christine could sense something wasn't right about Kody's behavior patterns, she couldn't quite categorize what she was experiencing. This confusion is the hallmark of effective manipulation, creating enough doubt and self-questioning that victims can't trust their own perceptions. What makes this revelation particularly damaging to Kody's public image is how it reframes every leadership moment on Sister Wives. Every family meeting where he made pronouncements, every time he mediated between wives, every spiritual guidance session, The audience now understands these weren't examples of patriarchal wisdom. They were manipulation tactics deployed by someone skilled in psychological control. The timing of Christine's recognition process also exposes the long-term psychological damage. She needed physical distance from the relationship and the objective perspective of watching herself on television to recognize patterns that had shaped her daily reality for decades. This suggests manipulation so sophisticated, it created complete cognitive dissonance about her own lived experience.
That's not what I signed up for. That's not what a marriage is. Marriage should be a partnership.
This statement represents Christine's fundamental awakening to relationship basics that had been systematically eroded over time. The recognition that marriage should involve partnership rather than hierarchy seems obvious from the outside, but for someone raised in patriarchal religious systems and then subjected to years of expert manipulation, this realization becomes revolutionary. The broader implications for Kody's reputation are devastating. A man who can manipulate so effectively that his victims don't recognize the manipulation until they achieve physical and emotional distance isn't just controlling, he's dangerous. This level of psychological sophistication suggests deliberate study and practice of manipulation techniques. The Sister Wives franchise built its brand on functional, plural marriage dynamics, but Christine's revelations expose the foundation as expert psychological control disguised as spiritual leadership. Every family decision that appeared collaborative was actually calculated manipulation. Every wife's acceptance of unequal treatment was the result of systematic conditioning rather than genuine spiritual conviction. The most chilling aspect of Christine's revelation is how it illuminates manipulation techniques that extend far beyond polygamous relationships, offering a masterclass in recognizing sophisticated psychological control in any intimate partnership. The third crushing blow to Kody's image emerged when Christine revealed the sophisticated financial control system that operated behind the scenes of their supposedly equal plural marriage. This wasn't just about money, it was about power, voice, and the systematic silencing of women through economic manipulation disguised as family financial planning. The revelation exposes how financial inequality can flourish even when women contribute equally to household income. Christine worked, earned money, and contributed to family resources, but the decision-making power remained firmly concentrated in patriarchal hands. This creates a particularly insidious form of control because it maintains the illusion of partnership while ensuring actual powerlessness. What makes this revelation especially damaging to Kody's reputation is how it contradicts the Sister Wives narrative of cooperative family management. For years, viewers watched family meetings where financial decisions appeared collaborative. Wives seemed to have input on major purchases, relocations, and business ventures. But Christine's interview reveals these moments were theater performance pieces designed to create the illusion of democratic family leadership while maintaining authoritarian control.
Sometimes equal, but it was more like I was just kind of told this is what we're doing kind of thing.
This casual revelation contains multitudes of psychological manipulation. The phrase "kind of told" suggests a level of politeness that masks the underlying command structure. Kody wasn't screaming orders or making dramatic pronouncements. He was delivering decisions with enough courtesy to maintain the fiction of consultation while ensuring no actual input was welcomed or considered. The financial control system becomes even more sophisticated when Christine reveals the doubt it created about her own perceptions. She questioned whether she was truly being heard, rather than recognizing that her voice was being systematically dismissed. This self-doubt is the hallmark of expert manipulation, creating enough uncertainty that victims question their own experiences rather than the system that's silencing them.
I really even heard in this, I don't know.
The hesitation in this statement reveals the psychological impact of financial silencing. Christine couldn't definitively say whether her voice mattered in her own family's financial decisions. This uncertainty isn't accidental, it's the product of manipulation tactics designed to keep women grateful for minimal inclusion while accepting systematic exclusion. But the most devastating aspect of this revelation is how it reframes every financial decision the Brown family made on television. Every business venture, every real estate purchase, every major expense that appeared to involve family consultation was actually predetermined by patriarchal decree. The wives' input was solicited for appearance purposes, while real decisions happened in spaces where their voices carried no weight. The payroll system, Christine describes, exposes an even more calculated approach to financial control. Rather than traditional joint accounts or shared financial responsibility, the Brown family operated like a corporation with Kody as CEO and his wives as employees receiving compensation for their domestic labor.
We get paid like a payroll kind of a thing.
This revelation transforms our understanding of the sister wives dynamic entirely. These weren't equal partners in a plural marriage. They were domestic employees receiving wages for household management and childcare their services. The emotional labor of marriage was reframed as compensated work, eliminating any expectation of genuine partnership or shared authority. The broader implications for women everywhere are staggering. Financial control operates in countless relationships, often disguised as practical household management or protective male leadership. Christine's revelation provides a masterclass in recognizing economic manipulation that extends far beyond polygamous marriages into any relationship where financial decision-making power is unequally distributed. The most chilling aspect of Christine's financial revelations is how they expose the systematic nature of patriarchal control. This wasn't impulsive or emotional decision-making. It was calculated economic engineering designed to maintain power while creating the illusion of partnership. Every wife received enough financial autonomy to feel included while being denied enough authority to challenge the fundamental power structure. For Cody Brown, these revelations are absolutely devastating because they expose him as someone who studied and implemented sophisticated control tactics while presenting himself as a loving patriarch who valued his wives' input and treated them as equal partners in family leadership. The fourth devastating revelation emerged when Christine exposed Cody's attempt at damage control for what it truly was, a self-serving performance designed to rehabilitate his image rather than acknowledge genuine harm. This wasn't just another relationship disagreement playing out on reality television. This was a masterclass in how manipulative people deploy fake apologies as weapons of continued control. The timing of Cody's apology attempt reveals everything about his motivations. Not during their marriage when Christine was struggling with his treatment, not during their separation when healing might have been possible, but during filming for the current season when his reputation was crumbling and his remaining relationships were deteriorating. The apology came when Cody needed public rehabilitation, not when Christine needed genuine acknowledgement. What makes this revelation particularly damaging is Christine's calm analysis of the apology's true purpose. She didn't react with emotion or gratitude. She dissected the performance with the precision of someone who finally understands manipulation tactics and refuses to be moved by them.
I think the apology was for him. It wasn't for me.
This simple statement demolishes the entire foundation of Cody's redemption narrative. Christine recognized immediately that his apology served his psychological needs rather than addressing her legitimate grievances. The clarity in her response reveals someone who has developed immunity to manipulation tactics that once controlled her completely. The broader implications for anyone who has experienced manipulative relationships are staggering. Fake apologies are sophisticated control tactics designed to reset relationship dynamics without requiring genuine behavioral change. They create the appearance of accountability while maintaining the fundamental power structures that enabled harmful behavior in the first place. Christine's recognition of this pattern exposes Cody's apology as emotional theater performed for multiple audiences. The sister wives' cameras captured his seemingly heartfelt words for viewers who might be questioning his character. The family witnessed his apparent remorse, potentially pressuring Christine to accept reconciliation. The broader public could observe his willingness to take responsibility for relationship failures.
You did what? You said what? What? It was all for him. It was his apology. He needed to hear it more than anybody.
The incredulous tone reveals Christine's genuine shock at the calculated nature of Cody's performance. Even someone who has awakened to manipulation tactics can still be amazed by the audacity of continued manipulation attempts. The repetition of what suggests she needed multiple moments to process the sheer brazenness of his approach. But the most devastating aspect of Christine's revelation is how it exposes the self-serving nature of Cody's entire redemption effort. He didn't apologize because he recognized harm or felt genuine remorse. He apologized because he needed to hear himself deliver words that would allow him to feel better about his behavior without requiring actual change. This psychological pattern extends far beyond the Brown family dynamics. Manipulative people often deploy apologies as tools for their own emotional regulation rather than genuine attempts at repair. They need to see themselves as reasonable, caring individuals who take responsibility for mistakes. The apology serves their self-image rather than addressing the legitimate needs of people they've harmed. The Sister Wives audience becomes witness to this manipulation attempt in real time. Viewers can observe Cody's seemingly sincere delivery while understanding from Christine's analysis that the entire performance serves his psychological needs, rather than genuine relationship repair. This creates a masterclass in recognizing fake apologies across all relationship contexts. Christine's conditional response reveals the kind of boundary setting that destroys manipulative relationship patterns. Rather than accepting words as evidence of change, she demanded behavioral proof that would demonstrate genuine transformation. The most chilling aspect of this revelation is how it illuminates the ongoing nature of manipulation attempts, even after relationship dissolution. Cody's apology wasn't an isolated incident. It was part of a broader pattern of using emotional performances to maintain control and manage his public image while avoiding genuine accountability for harmful behavior patterns. For women everywhere who have received apologies that felt hollow or self-serving, Christine's analysis provides validation and a framework for recognizing when contrition is performance rather than genuine acknowledgement of harm. The fifth devastating blow to Kody's reputation emerged when Christine revealed the most heartbreaking consequence of his behavior: the systematic destruction of relationships with his own children. This revelation moves beyond marital dysfunction into territory that exposes fundamental character failures that extend across generations and create lasting psychological damage. The pattern Christine describes isn't unique to polygamous families. It's a masterclass in how narcissistic behavior destroys parent-child bonds through emotional abandonment disguised as disappointed love. When parents withdraw affection as punishment for children's failure to meet unrealistic expectations, they create trauma that echoes through decades of family relationships. What makes Christine's revelation particularly devastating is her role as protective witness to her children's pain. She's not just processing her own relationship damage, she's watching the man she once loved systematically break the hearts of the children they created together. The maternal anguish in her testimony adds layers of credibility that make Kody's behavior impossible to defend.
My kids are heartbroken.
This simple statement carries the weight of 18 individual stories of paternal abandonment. These aren't dramatic teenagers acting out for attention. These are adult children who have processed their father's treatment with mature perspective and found it fundamentally lacking. When multiple children from the same family reach similar conclusions about their father's character, the pattern becomes undeniable. The educational component for viewers becomes crucial here. Red flags in parental behavior often mirror manipulation tactics in romantic relationships. Parents who withdraw love as punishment, who demand loyalty without offering genuine emotional investment, who create hierarchies among children based on compliance rather than unconditional acceptance. Christine's testimony provides a framework for recognizing these patterns across all family relationships. But the most damaging aspect of this revelation is how it exposes Kody's conditional approach to parental love. Children in healthy families understand that parental affection remains constant regardless of disagreements or different life choices. Kody's children learned that their father's love depended entirely on their willingness to validate his decisions and maintain loyalty to his authority. The psychological impact of conditional parental love creates lasting damage that extends far beyond childhood. Adult children who experienced love withdrawal as punishment often struggle with self-worth, relationship patterns, and their own ability to form secure attachments. Christine's testimony suggests this damage is playing out across multiple Brown family children.
I can't imagine what it's like for my kids to not have a great relationship with their dad. Yeah. It's heartbreaking for me.
The maternal perspective adds another layer of devastation to Kody's reputation. Christine isn't speaking from bitterness about her own treatment. She's speaking from genuine grief about watching her children experience paternal rejection. This positions her as protective advocate rather than vindictive ex-wife, making her testimony more credible and Kody's behavior more inexcusable. The broader implications for family dynamics everywhere are staggering. Children need parents who remain emotionally available even during disagreements. They need love that doesn't fluctuate based on compliance or approval of parental choices. They need relationships that can weather conflict without fundamental rejection. Christine's revelation also exposes how patriarchal family systems often sacrifice individual children's emotional needs for the maintenance of family hierarchy. When parental authority becomes more important than genuine relationship building, children learn that their emotional well-being is secondary to their father's ego needs. The Sister Wives audience becomes witness to generational trauma creation in real time. Viewers have watched these children grow up on television, forming attachments to young people whose personalities and potential became familiar over years of filming. Christine's revelation reframes those childhood moments as foundation laying for future relationship damage. The most chilling aspect of this revelation is how it exposes the long-term consequences of narcissistic parenting patterns. Kody's behavior toward his wives created a template for conditional love that extended to his children. The man who could withdraw affection from wives who failed to meet his expectations applied the same emotional manipulation to relationships with his own children. For parents everywhere, Christine's testimony provides a stark reminder that children's emotional security depends on unconditional parental love that remains steady regardless of conflict, disagreement, or different life choices. The sixth and perhaps most devastating blow to Kody's image came when Christine delivered advice that completely undermines the fundamental premise of his entire lifestyle choice. This wasn't just criticism of their marriage, this was a systematic dismantling of the polygamous framework that built the Brown family empire and justified decades of relationship inequality. The revelation becomes particularly damaging when you consider the source. Christine wasn't just any plural wife offering outside criticism. She was the believer, the woman who actively wanted to be the third wife, who bought into the spiritual ideology of plural marriage with genuine conviction. Her transformation from true believer to vocal advocate for monogamy represents the complete intellectual collapse of Kody's life philosophy. For years, the Sister Wives franchise operated on the premise that plural marriage could work when practiced with love, respect, and spiritual guidance. Christine's journey served as proof of concept. Here was a woman who chose polygamy enthusiastically and made it work through dedication and faith. Her eventual rejection of the entire system destroys the foundational narrative that sustained the show's credibility.
I wish they'd just be happy in monogamy.
This simple statement contains the power to demolish everything Cody Brown built his identity around. When someone who lived plural marriage for 25 years concludes that monogamy is superior, it raises fundamental questions about the viability of polygamous relationships. Christine isn't speaking from theoretical knowledge. She's offering comparative analysis based on direct experience with both relationship structures. The timing of this revelation makes it particularly devastating for Kody's reputation. Christine delivered this advice while promoting her book about leaving plural marriage, during a season where Sister Wives viewers are watching the final collapse of the Brown family dynamic. Her words serve as both explanation for the family's destruction and prescription for preventing similar outcomes. But the most damaging aspect of Christine's advice is how it exposes the contradiction at the heart of Kody's current situation. He claims to value plural marriage as a spiritual practice, yet he's essentially living monogamously with Robin while maintaining the fiction of polygamous identity. Christine's observation that he should embrace what he's already practicing reveals the dishonesty in his continued promotion of plural marriage ideology.
I love monogamy, and I know he does too.
This statement operates on multiple levels of devastating insight. Christine is acknowledging her own transformation while simultaneously exposing Kody's hypocrisy. She's recognizing that his behavior patterns demonstrate clear preference for monogamous dynamics, while his public statements continue promoting plural marriage as superior spiritual practice. The broader implications for the Sister Wives brand are catastrophic. If the most committed believer among the wives concludes that monogamy is preferable to plural marriage, what does that say about the fundamental premise of the show? Christine's advice suggests that the entire experiment was misguided from the beginning, and that the family's collapse was inevitable rather than accidental. The educational component for viewers becomes crucial here. Christine's transformation provides a framework for recognizing when religious or ideological commitments are serving genuine spiritual growth versus enabling harmful relationship patterns. Her journey from believer to skeptic offers validation for anyone questioning fundamental assumptions about their own life choices. Christine's advice also exposes the psychological damage caused by plural marriage dynamics. Her enthusiasm for monogamy isn't just about preferring exclusive relationships. It's about discovering what healthy partnership actually feels like after decades of accepting inequality as spiritual practice. The contrast illuminates how much she was settling for in the name of religious conviction.
That can't be real. None of that can be real. I'm sure that's not real.
The incredulous response to suggestions about Kody potentially adding another wife reveals Christine's genuine shock at the possibility. Someone who lived plural marriage for decades and understands its psychological costs cannot fathom why anyone would voluntarily enter that system. Her disbelief serves as expert testimony about the fundamental dysfunction of polygamous relationship structures. The most chilling aspect of this revelation is how it reframes every spiritual justification Kody offered for plural marriage throughout the series. If someone as committed as Christine concludes that the entire system is fundamentally flawed, then all of Kody's religious explanations become suspect. Was he genuinely following spiritual guidance, or was he using religious ideology to justify personal preferences for multiple relationships? For Cody Brown, Christine's advice represents the complete intellectual defeat of everything he claimed to believe and practice. When your most committed plural wife becomes an advocate for monogamy based on direct comparative experience, your entire life philosophy crumbles under the weight of lived evidence. Christine Brown's interview represents more than celebrity drama or reality TV gossip. It's a masterclass in what happens when someone breaks free from sophisticated manipulation systems and starts speaking truth with the clarity that only comes from genuine healing. The woman who spent decades saying it's fine has emerged as someone who refuses to accept anything less than authentic partnership and genuine respect. The transformation didn't happen overnight. Christine's journey from compliant plural wife to empowered woman required therapy, distance, and the brutal honesty of watching her own life play out on television screens. But the result is devastating for anyone who built their reputation on maintaining control through emotional manipulation and financial inequality. This simple declaration contains the power to demolish entire systems of patriarchal control. When women who have been systematically silenced find their voices and start using them, the reverberations extend far beyond individual relationships. Christine's willingness to name manipulation, expose financial control, and reveal the psychological damage of conditional love provides a blueprint for recognition that extends into countless other relationships. The broader implications for the Sister Wives franchise are seismic. For years, the show operated on the premise that plural marriage could work with proper spiritual guidance and mutual respect. Christine's revelations expose that foundation as fundamentally fraudulent. The functional plural family was maintained through sophisticated control tactics that created the illusion of harmony while ensuring systematic inequality. But the most powerful aspect of Christine's transformation is how it validates the experiences of women everywhere who have questioned their own perceptions in relationships marked by subtle manipulation. Her journey from self-doubt to clarity offers hope for anyone trapped in systems that make them question their own reality.
This is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
You're supposed to feel like supported and loved.
The discovery of what healthy partnership actually feels like becomes the ultimate indictment of everything that came before. Christine's genuine happiness in monogamous marriage with David exposes how much she was settling for in the name of spiritual conviction. The contrast illuminates the psychological damage caused by accepting inequality as divine will. The Sister Wives community has erupted with recognition and validation. Social media platforms overflow with women sharing their own stories of financial manipulation, emotional control, and the gradual awakening to patterns they couldn't name while living through them. Christine's calm testimony has become a catalyst for collective truth-telling about relationship dynamics that extend far beyond polygamous marriages. For Cody Brown, these revelations represent complete reputational collapse. The man who positioned himself as wise patriarch has been systematically exposed as someone who studied and implemented sophisticated manipulation tactics while presenting himself as loving spiritual leader. When someone as measured and thoughtful as Christine starts connecting dots publicly, those dots form a picture that makes denial impossible. The most remarkable aspect of Christine's interview is how it demonstrates the power of truth delivered without malice. She's not seeking revenge or trying to destroy Cody out of spite. She's simply stating facts about her experience with the kind of unflinching honesty that naturally exposes the gap between public personas and private behavior patterns. What do you think will be the long-term impact of Christine's revelations on the Sister Wives franchise? And which of these 6 devastating moments do you think will have the most lasting effect on how viewers understand the Brown family dynamics? The internet is buzzing with analysis and shared experiences, and something tells me the next round of Sister Wives episodes will be even more explosive than the last. Tap like, hit subscribe, keep notifications on because the truth-telling revolution Christine Brown just started is far from over.